This is lesson 8 in our series on beer characteristics, and in this lesson we are discussing diacetyl. Diacetyl in beer is an off flavor that is like artificial / movie theater butter, butterscotch, or toffee-like in aroma and taste. And it produces a slick or oily coating sensation on the palate. There are some challenges with the perception of diacetyl. It varies from judge to judge. More judges than not can't perceive diacetyl in any concentration. With this, off-flavor training for diacetyl is essential not only to find out if you can detect it, but how you perceive it compared to other similar flavors and aromas in beer. We did just discuss the causes of diacetyl in the last section, yeast and fermentation, but let's take a proper look at it again in case you're coming back to this lesson alone as a refresher. Diacetyl is a fermentation byproduct. It's naturally produced by the yeast during fermentation. The yeast then reconvert and reduce diacetyl into non-flavor active diols. There's some issues that lead to high perceptible diacetyl levels. Premature separation of the beer from the yeast before the yeast can reconvert the produced diacetyl is one, and exposing the beer to oxygen during active fermentation is another. And along with that, low free amino nitrogen levels or yeast nutrients or mutations in the yeast that affect their ability to reduce diacetyl byproducts can also lead to elevated levels of diacetyl. Diacetyl can also be produced from contamination. One contamination can be from lactic acid bacteria, most commonly Pseudococcus damnosus. This produces diacetyl in the early stages of spoilage from contamination. We can attempt to manage the levels of diacetyl. First, through fermentation temperature. Higher temperatures help both produce diacetyl and its elimination. The elimination is done through a diacetyl rest. The fermentation is raised in this step to reinvigorate the yeast and help promote the completion of the diacetyl conversion process. We also can incorporate krausening to manage diacetyl. This is where we add fresh, actively yeast to the beer to help quickly remove diacetyl. There are some beer styles where diacetyl is acceptable. In low levels, it's permissible in Czech lagers, English bitters, British brown and dark ales, and Irish red ales. But it should never dominate the beer and should always remain subtle. It's not appropriate in most styles, such as German lagers except Keller beers, Irish stout, American ales, and Belgian ales. Diacetyl in summary. Diacetyl provides a buttery flavor that is acceptable in low levels in specific styles, but considered a flaw in most others. Proper fermentation practices, sanitation, and yeast management are essential to control diacetyl levels. If we ever detect diacetyl in a beer when we are evaluating during our judging exam, we can offer the following comment for process improvement of use temperature control and consider methods like the diacetyl rest or krausening to reduce unwanted diacetyl in the finished beer. And that is it for diacetyl, and we are now moving on to the next lesson.